Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience in getting these seasons out. I'm a one-woman show with a full-time job and 2 kids and a disc golf obsession, but rest assured I've been working on this season all year and can't wait to share these stories. I met quite a few fans at tournaments this season, and you all know who you are, made my day. If you're a fan of the show, please reach out. I love to hear from you. This season, we're doing the immersive episodes a bit differently as well, with more listener stories, so find me on social media and let's chat. I also want to congratulate Uli on finishing out the rest of his season so strong. We recorded this episode mid-season after Waco, and man, did he deliver. Great job, Uli. Keith and I are always your biggest fans. All right, let's do the damn thing already.
I expect to beat everybody. That's who Paul Ulibarri is. My shoulder felt disconnected from my body. It gets out of my control. I feel like it's a bad break. These things that are eating away at my brain that I have to get over. My expectation is so hard to put down and underneath a pillow and a blanket.
Welcome to Basket Case, the podcast where disc golfers tell you the stories of when their mental game had the power to make or break their rounds. Let's gain some experience, work on our brains, and hit some chains. This week features Paul Ulibarri, commentator, co-host, and disc golf royalty, who, after a slow start to his season due to injury, turned it around to be one of the most improved players in 2023. Hear tips from his sports psychology coaching, how he's dealing with expectations, and his theory on childhood traumas and flow states.
Hello.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
I'm good. Busy boy.
Maybe let's start out talking about some of your struggles. What have you been a basket case about lately?
Oh man. My basket has been full of cases right here. No, I've been working on a lot of things, honestly, but one of the things that's pretty tough for me is expectations. I try to tell people that I don't have them, but deep down inside, those expectations that, I put on myself kind of creep up to the top, which creates more frustration. I think that's something I've really been struggling with lately, is to try not to have them, but they're still there. And that's like an ongoing inner battle that I'm facing right now. I would say that's the number one thing as far as I go with tournament play that I've been a basket case about.
I think a lot of people have that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's every tournament right now, to where, I gave it a lot of thought in the off season, even this year. What should I expect and what should I not expect? And I'm working with a sports psychologist right now who's really telling me to not have any expectations. So it's a tool that I need to learn, and it's taking a lot more time than I thought it would. But like, for example, even going into this last weekend, we played the Waco annual charity open. Man, the first round, I had never felt so good in like a year and a half or so, to where my body felt crisp. It was nice weather. I finally got a good tee time. My card was awesome, and I just felt just great. I started off great too. I like birdied the first 4 out of 5 holes or something, which was great. So I was like, all right, we're doing it. And then somehow the wheels just came off. Like, I just started playing bad. Now, this is where it gets tricky, is because I don't get frustrated when I play bad. The one thing that gets me very frustrated is when I get bad luck. That's when Paul Ulibarri absolutely loses his mind right now.
Oh, no.
Which is another thing that I'm a basket case about, is I am so good at letting things go when they're my fault. Like, okay, hey, that was my fault. I shanked that. I deserve a bogey. But Waco's the type of course where you can play good and you can get bogeys with some bad kicks here and there. And it's something that I've been really struggling with the last couple of years, is when I can take bad breaks, like, it really gets me deep down inside. And I think part of that is because I'm not able to practice as much And so you just get more bad kicks. So you're not as crisp. I'm probably hugging the side of the fairways a bit more instead of giving myself room.
How come you haven't been able to have more practice rounds?
Well, I've been dealing with this shoulder injury for a while now. How do you call it? It's called thoracic outlet syndrome. A like loose feeling in my hand. And so like, yeah, that's the best way to
Oh,
describe it.
that's
It's not so
right.
bad. Some people have it worse than I do, but like I lose touch and my hand tingles and it's like pretty
Yeah.
bad thing.
I think we've actually
Um,
talked before about like the big muscles to the small muscles. And it's like, yeah, if you don't have that, like the small muscle control, like you still have the skeleton, you still have like the big muscles, but like if
mhm.
you don't have that feeling in your hand, like especially on a woods course, like that touches everything. Like it's the difference between a birdie and a double.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I've been having like a crazy recovery process after my round. I got to stretch out for about an hour if I practice. And then after I practice, I have to go take an ice bath, which takes a while. Take the ice bath, get done with that. I got about a half hour to relax, and then I take a warm bath, and then I go stretch it out again. So my recovery process is like 3.5, 4 hours
Oh my God.
after my round just to practice. And so you could understand that practicing isn't like my favorite thing to do. Playing isn't really my favorite thing to do right now because it's a chore. It takes a lot. And if I skip that recovery process, which I did going into the final round, because I was like, you know what, screw this. Like, I'm playing bad already. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do the recovery. I'm pissed. Like I'm just gonna, go to eat with my friends and I'm not even gonna worry about it. Well, the next day it was even worse. So I was like, wow, that was really
No.
stupid. And I was talking to Seth Muncie about it, and I'm like, yeah, I was on strike because it wasn't working anyway. I was on strike, man. I didn't do it. And he's like, yeah, you have to do it every single time. And so yeah, my basket case situation is my expectations, like, they have to be zero at this point in time.
Mm.
And for somebody like myself who's highly competitive, and I'm sure you are too, but my expectation is so hard to put down and underneath a pillow and a blanket. You know what I mean? That's like what drives me is, no, I expect to beat everybody. That's who Paul Ulibarri is. And then when I realize, like, yeah, but you really can't right now. Like that's taken away from like something that's deep down inside that I don't want to give up. It's like a prideful thing. And so I'm dealing with that right now and trying to get past how is Paul Ulibarri going to be able to just go out there and have fun and go through the process without worrying about an expectation. I am good and my body's just not allowing me to be good. And so it's not like a thing that I'm trying to live up to. It's a thing that's just like my body's failing. Like I said, with frustrations, like when I get bad kicks, I freak out because it's out of my control. You know what I mean? And when I'm injured like this and I can't practice, like it's out of my control, I feel like it's a bad break. And so it's like these things that are totally like eating away at my brain that I have to get over because I'm the type of person where my whole career has been like, if something's not working, I'll fix it. He fixes it. Bam. I don't care what it is. If I'm not putting good, you're gonna see me at the putting green all day long, and
Yeah.
he's gonna fix it. If I'm not throwing good, I'm gonna be the first person in the field, the last person to leave. After the round, I'd be in the field. Before the round, I'm in the field. And so with this injury, I can't practice. It's brutal. I want to get after it. I know it's not my brain. I know I'm not just out there being like mentally losing my mind
Right. No,
and not being able to like,
it's more of Eagle. That's how Eagle felt. He was like, no, I want to compete. I'm ready to compete. But like, because I don't feel 100%, like I have to square that internally. And like, my mind has to meet my body where it's at.
yeah. And right now my body's like the lowest of the low.
So what happened to your shoulder? I didn't even know it was injured. When did that happen?
I mean, it's been going on since last year. I didn't know either. I've been dealing with it for a long time, but it's just progressively gotten worse. I think part of it is the courses are getting longer, so you're just having to hammer the disc all the time. And that's not my style. It never has been. So now I'm hammering the disc every time, and I don't think my body ever, like, as a kid, grew those muscles to protect it or something. And so now I'm changing like form and everything, and my body just can't handle it. For example, I would throw a shot and I'd be fine. Same disc, same shot, because you throw the same disc every shot out there because every hole's a billion miles.
Throw it as hard
And
as
so
you
I
can,
would,
5 times.
yeah. And so I'd throw like the same disc, same shot. One shot would hyzer out left, one shot would go straight, and one shot would go left. I don't want to sound conceited, but my form's pretty nice. Like, that's not something that happens with my form. Like, that is, I am tight off the tee. And so once that started happening to where it was all three different results for the same shot that I'm trying to throw, I had to be like, wow, something's actually pretty bad here. So like a big turning left to right shot just doesn't exist in my game right now. I think your shoulder really has to lead the way with like that power left to right shot. Like it's easier to come from down high to low with like hyzer flips for me. But when I want to come across my body, my shoulder's really taking a hit, and that shot just doesn't exist. If I try to hit something as hard as I can with a left to right, which is where I get most of my power, the disc will just fall out of my hand because it's hitting that nerve underneath, and then it doesn't fire to my fingers, and then just I early release left. And so I found that out at GBO, and I wasn't throwing it 380 feet. I just wasn't even getting over like 400 in one of the rounds, and I was like, okay, I can't play like this. And I actually quit that round because my shoulder felt so bad. I thought it felt disconnected from my body. Like if I were to throw it at any point, my shoulder could just like pop or something. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like I can't play anymore. And I went home, rehabbed it, and found out what it was, which was that thoracic outlet syndrome. Went back out there and played pretty good, but I had to do that recovery deal. And then this off season, I didn't do much playing, period. I wanted to stay off it and see if it would heal itself. And I had a lot of different projects I was working on. And then, bam, came back, played this year. First tournament was Vegas. Kind of started falling apart again at that point. And then now, after last weekend, I feel like I'm almost to that same point of GBO.
Oh no. Oh, Paul, I'm so sorry. That's the worst.
Oh, it's okay. I tried to do like physical therapy and stuff like that, but now I've got an appointment coming up this next week with like the number one shoulder doctor in Charlotte,
Oh, that's great.
and he works with like a bunch of professional athletes and all that stuff. So I'm going. Before I was just like, oh, it's just physical therapy. Nothing's broken,
Right.
nothing was torn. I had an MRI, I had X-rays, I had all that stuff. So nothing was torn. It was just a bunch of nerve damage. But now I'm going to go straight to the top and see if there's, what exactly I have to do. Because I can't live like this. Honestly, I can't. I would rather not play at all than go out there and try to do something and my body goes, nah, I'm good.
Like, how long have you been in disc golf? How'd you pick it up?
I started when I was 16, so 2005.
So that's early. That's like, oh my gosh, if I just like dream of finding it at 16. I found it at 28, like about to have my second baby. Like,
Yeah, a lot of people say that. They're like, "Dang,
not
that's early." But then
ideal.
I look at like little people who are starting and they're like 1 years old, and I'm like, "Geez, man,
If
I wish that was me."
that's true. The earlier the better. Technically my 1-year-old has won an A tier since I was pregnant.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
That's so cool. I already got that winning mentality. I love
Already
that.
got that winning mentality, but it was an FPO, so I don't know if it counts.
It counts.
How'd you get introduced to disc golf?
A friend of mine going out and playing with his dad and invited me a couple times. I was always kind of making fun of him for playing. I was into basketball and baseball and skating and traditional golf. yeah, we go. And I remember thinking like him just throwing it at trees and stuff. And I'm like, that sounds horrible.
It sounds so stupid.
Yeah. And then, man, I fell in love with it after my first shot. I remember this old guy's name was Dennis. I remember it like it was yesterday. He threw a shot trying to show me how to throw it. And I remember thinking, 16-year-old cocky kid, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw this so much farther than this guy. I threw that thing straight up in the air and almost backwards, trying to throw it as hard as I could. Man, this is cool. Like, this is hard.
Yeah.
I've always loved like sports that like challenged me like to where they were tough. I mean, it happened pretty fast. I just, like I said, fell in love with it that day. Through the round, the backhand was just so bad, and then somebody finally showed me how to throw sidearm, and I picked that up quick. So I was throwing straight and good, like almost right away. I have a hole that I reference because I birdied a hole my first time playing, and it was 200 and I think 10 feet, and I remember throwing it like dead straight, and that's as far as I could get it. It was 210 feet. After that, I practiced every day. We had this big field behind my house. They gave me a couple of discs, and I just went to the field and I was just throwing every day without anybody even telling me, hey, if you want to get better, go in the field. Like I was so addicted, I just went out there and I played the trees by myself. We had this barn that was probably about 200 feet away, and I stacked up tires and put a big tire at the top that made like a hole, and I threw at that thing for hours, hours a day, hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
And so within a couple months, I played tournament, won my first ever tournament, and then a couple months later, I played the Junior Worlds, which was my first ever PDGA event. Was a Junior World Championships,
Oh my gosh. That's great.
and yeah, and I showed up with a fly fishing bag and a disc in there, and I was putting with like a rock.
Maybe it's not as good as the picture in my head, but it sounds so cute.
And so I went there and I ended up playing really good. I got top four. I made the final nine for junior 16 and under, and it was cool because I got to play with James Conrad. I got to play with Paul Macbeth. It was both Pauls in my first tournament ever. Devin Owens, Chandler Fry was there. There's a lot of great players in our junior division. So that's where I thought I went and I followed the advanced men after I got done because I'm like, okay, who's the best? I want to see who the best are. And I walked over there and I watched the advanced guys play, and this guy's name was Jack Schmalfield one. Cool guy, dude. This guy was cool. And so I dedicated the rest of it. I went home and I dedicated my life to winning the world championships the next year. That's all I thought about every single day. Train, train, train. I got pretty good for Arizona, and they told me that I should just go pro because even if I go there, I probably wasn't going to win because they were like all the advanced people are pretty much pro anyway. I think they just wanted my entry fee, honestly.
Sometimes
Yeah.
that's how it is.
I went there and played really good. I ended up making the lead card. I was still with these guys who were like didn't believe in me. And talk about being a basket. This is the kind of mindset that I've kind of had my whole career. Is I went there and I was, I think, 5 back at the lead going in the final nine. The guy I was with, his name was Jack, and he took me from Arizona in his Suburban to take me to Oklahoma to play the AM World. So
Oh, baby.
absolute sweetheart. But he's like, hey, once you're done with the final nine, we're leaving right away because we got to get back. I got to work. And I'm like, okay, but I'm going to have to do the award ceremony. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I'm going to win. And he's like, okay, Paul, like you're 5 back, but I get it. And he like, basically told me like, no, you're not going to win. We started the final nine and I shot like 8 down out of the 9 holes and I came back and I won the tournament.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so amazing. I love a comeback story. Actually, a lot of my wins are comebacks.
Mm-hmm.
Or I just have such a huge lead that it doesn't matter what I do the last round. But like
Yeah.
I like being that underdog and like scrappily fighting for the title. The unbridled confidence in yourself.
I feel like I
winning.
still have that, and that's what's tough about all this stuff is that's in there. And it's something that I get a lot of flack for, honestly, is a lot of people who don't really know me personally think that I'm just the cockiest guy ever. And it's something that I give 0 F's about because that's me and I will not give that up. Like nobody can take that from me. And it's one of the things that I think has made me so successful, because I really think that I'm not the most talented guy to ever play disc golf. And the one thing that's kind of got me through everything is that unwavering belief in myself that, like, I am great.
That's always been my problem. Honestly, like one of the reasons I wanted to start the podcast is because like that's my problem, is like that belief. Circumstances are totally different. It all has to do with the
Yeah.
garbage things that I've been through. And like if I had that, oh gosh, it's like such a gift. The times when I do have that, I win. Like I do. Every time I've won is when I've come with that energy of like, you know what? No, I'm the best person here and I'm gonna prove it to you.
Yeah, no, I think it's an essential piece that the best players ever have in any sport. Don't listen to anybody else. Believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, get there. Everybody wants you to be humble, right? Which I 100% agree with, but there's a fine line there. There's a fine line between being humble and then being
Pushover.
a pushover. Exactly. When you're a kid, it's hard to understand anything, much less like concepts. To a kid, like, no, you're not allowed to act like that. You need to be humble. Could completely like crush their competitive spirit because it's not like solid yet. Now, at the same time, I don't want someday when I have a son or a daughter, I don't want them out there like busting the gritty on somebody after they do something. That's not what I would like either. But there's a way to instill confidence in people that I feel like is slowly getting lost, because everybody wants everybody to be on an equal playing field in sports, in business, in anything. The people who are at the top are the people who just absolutely have sheer confidence in what they do.
Do you want to talk about some of your mental game strengths, like any wins that you had or like the lessons that you've learned and feel like you've come out on top?
My biggest asset is the belief in myself. And right now it's sometimes a detriment, because of the expectations part. I'm not able to be that guy because my body's failing me, even though in my head I am that guy. And so that's where it kind of teeters. But to this point, that has been my biggest strength, because I've never thought that I was the most talented disc golfer that there ever was. I've never thought that. But I've always thought I'm going to work harder than everybody. I'm going to beat that person. I don't care how good they are, how talented they are.
Was there a tournament that you played that you could give us like a internal play-by-play, what was going on in your head?
A couple that really stand out were actually tournaments that I lost. Yeah, I went into the World Championships in 2018 in Vermont, thinking that there was just no possible way anybody could beat me. First round, I was kind of way back. And the second round was awesome because it was my birthday. And I had this birthday round where I had the greatest kicks of all time ever. I had a mini, okay? And the mini was from the 1988 World Championships in Cincinnati.
Oh my gosh.
I went to this guy and I was like, hey, I would like my birthday mini. We were at this fly mart and there was this older guy. He had a bunch of minis. He's like, I got one for you. And he grabbed it. He gave it to me. Well, I held this mini for like a month, and then I looked at the date, and it was an amazing thing, because the World Championship started in 1988, September 7th, which is my birthday.
Oh my
So
God.
I was born on the first day of the World Championships. Full circle, I'm playing at the World Championships in 2018 on my birthday,
That's crazy.
where I then shoot the course record at Brewster Ridge, my favorite course, which I still have to this day. And I jump into the lead group, and I hold the lead group till the final nine, or not final nine, the final round, where I then made a push. And I thought the whole round, I didn't care how far back I was. I was like, nope, this is my tournament. Like, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And I just kept saying that and saying that and saying that. And I ended up getting third place, and Barsby won. But you don't have to win a tournament in order to have that mindset be good. Like, I got outplayed, and I I remember thinking, wow, that even at the last hole, I was only down a couple, and I thought, nope, something's gonna happen. Like I'm going to win. I didn't, but I remember having that mindset through the whole tournament. And the world championship for me every single year, because I believe I'm going to be a world champion someday, my mindset is so tuned in and locked in over this belief in myself that I was born to be a world champion. That thought process like carries me through that one tournament. And I think that's why I've had so much success at the tournament, even though I haven't won. You know, I've led the tournament, the world championships, like 4 or 5 times in my life.
Do you have any tips and tricks for people like me who maybe aren't the best at that part of it?
The best way to do it is by understanding, okay, I don't do that, and then practice. That's one thing that I'm really working on. Like, for example, I'm working with Bob Rotella. Last year when I left GBO, I was like, okay, if I'm not going to be able to work on my disc golf game, I'm going to work on my mental game. And I got a hold of him and flew out there. I saw him for a couple of days. I stayed at his house. We're working on staying in the moment, which my stubborn ass right now is having the toughest time doing because I'm so mad. You know, I'm so mad that I'm hurt that it's a tough, really tough, stubborn thing. But last year, for example, when we started doing it, I quickly realized how bad my mental game was because he said, just check in. Every time before you throw, check in and see where your thoughts are.
Oh, interesting. I love it.
And so I started doing that. And my first tournament back was Idlewild. And the first hole I checked in, and my brain was looking at the water and the wind and the worst case scenario. And I'm like, okay, Jack, let's look at what we're supposed to do. Next shot up the hill. Okay, what about the wind? It's going to lift my, all this negative stuff. And I'm like, okay, I get it, Bob. I would just check in. And towards the end of the season, that tournament I cashed, the next tournament I cashed with horrible, horrible mental game. But the fact that I was checking in was getting me to a better spot slowly.
Well,
slowly,
so much of it
slowly.
is like getting the awareness first. Like you have to know what your issues are. And I think, again, that was one of the reasons for this podcast and why it's been so incredibly insightful for my own mental game. And, the listeners have reached out for the same reason of like, I wasn't aware that I was doing this, but then like hearing somebody talk about the exact thing, it like the light bulb goes off and then you can start to take action. Like you can't take action unless you have that awareness first.
One of the things that I did earlier in my career too was any negative thought, I would bring it to the front of my brain as a picture and I would burn that shit right in front of my eyes.
Gosh. I love that.
And I've started to do that again. That's what I'm doing right now is I bring a picture to the front and I look at it, in my imagination, and then I go, nope, you're done. And I burn it and I watch the ash fly away. But Bob's teaching me to do the same thing, check in. Well, towards the end of the year, all of a sudden I had a round where I was zen-like and I got in the zone finally and I played great. And it was at the USCGC final round. And I made a big push. I ended up getting 15th, which is really good nowadays. It's working. It's working. Now, the last couple tournaments, I didn't even try it. So it's not getting there right now. But I also know it's because I'm not really trying. And I'm in a spot of like, I'm not in a great spot. Again, but that's another thing I want people to know is like, we're not superhumans. Like I just told you, I completely checked out. And I'm fine with that because guess what? My mental game couldn't handle it. Like, it's okay to check out.
Do you have any other tips and tricks for mental game? Any advice that you'd give people if they're struggling?
I believe that, like, people don't understand what the zone is, right? It's talked about, and I want to kind of go into that really fast. What is being in the zone? I'll ask you, to you, what is the zone?
I might have a little bit of a different perspective because my whole life up until this point has been very different from a disc golf life. I'm a graphic designer by trade. I've been an art director, creative director. Right now I'm a brand designer and I've been doing that for 10 years. And so like, I'm pretty accustomed to being in the zone. so I get a project, you know, a logo or a website design or whatever it is. I can feel myself when I go into it. Like I just like lose all sense of time. It's just like hyper focus on, and when I say like hyper focus, it's not like staring intently. It's just like everything else is melting away, and I don't know, my brain is just kind of firing on all cylinders. Like I'm just using my whole being, I guess, like all of my brain connected to all of my body to get like the best possible results for whatever this project is that I'm doing. And like, I'm actually not sure if it's the same in disc golf. Maybe it is when I get into the flow of disc golf, but for me, like disc golf has had a lot of extra stuff that when I'm in the flow of design, it almost doesn't feel the same as when I am in the flow of disc golf.
No, that's really good. I think you painted a perfect picture of what the zone should be, and I think it's interesting how do you get there? And
Right. And maybe
I
that's
want
what
to
disc golf versus design is, because like with design, it's a habit. Like I
yeah,
know how to get
it's a perfect
I
way to
have
explain it. Yeah.
I have certain triggers and certain rituals that I do to get myself in the zone when I'm designing. And I don't know if I've built those super strongly with disc golf yet. I feel like I'm
Right.
starting to get it with my putt, like my putting over the last just like month or two has like drastically improved. And it's because I can feel myself slipping into the zone during my pre-routine, which I've just started building. So that's exciting. But I think you're right. It's about that, like how to get into it.
I think it has to do with things you've gone through too. Harvard did a study. The best athletes in the world have went through some kind of crazy trauma as a kid.
Oh my gosh, really? Because I
And
feel that. I went through a crazy trauma in my early childhood. And it
yep,
is
and
the feeling of like playing above your head, quote unquote, is the same feeling of being in that traumatic situation, of feeling like you're watching it from above, feeling like at one, but also separated from everything that's happening.
this is my interpretation of it. For me, I also went through some stuff when I was a kid, and I don't remember certain years. I think I have a couple memories in there, but I don't remember certain years. I think your brain, when you go through some things, just completely goes, "No, I'm good."
I tap
Like,
out.
yeah, we're good. Let's just move on. That's not our thing. And I think that's what the zone is too, because for me, like, when I get in the zone, that comes with some repercussions.
Hmm.
It comes with cameras, it comes with crowds, it
Oh,
comes with money. Early on, it was easy for me to get in the zone because once I got triggered for a trauma, which my body shuts down under that situation, right? Like, I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this crowd. I don't want to deal with the cameras. Like, this is too much for me. Like you said, you end up training yourself with these habits to where you check out. When you check out, it is so easy for you to play because the cameras aren't there. And then you're focused on one thing. Your brain goes, no, we're focused on this one thing. Let's focus on this so we don't have to worry about that stuff and the pressure in the moment and all these things. And then you're in the zone and it's easy to play. I believe that's what the zone is. Right now, you took me from my current state and you put me on the lead card of the world championships. I would play great and I might win the tournament because of the zone. That would be an easy way to put me in a situation to where I shut down and I focus on what I'm supposed to do. Now you put me on a different card, first round of the world championships right now, no cameras. I'm not going to do that great.
hmm.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, it actually benefits you to have all of those extra pressures because
Yes,
your brain is patterned to go into flow from those high pressure experiences where it's like
absolutely.
that's when your brain shifts into this hyper focus mode.
And that's why I tell people it's also a learned skill.
Mhm.
You can learn to do that. You just have to put yourself in that situation a lot.
What you're saying is don't run from the horrible things that happen to you. Like embrace that and use it as a strength because at the end
Yeah,
of the day, it is like all the shit that you've gone through is going to help you win today.
yeah. I mean, the brain's a beautiful thing. Like you said, use it to your advantage, because in sports, people think that it's this not obtainable thing, the zone, and that you just have to be good in order to get into it. But that's not it.
No. Yeah.
The zone is something for everybody to figure out how to get into. And all it is your brain going, no, I'm good. Let's focus on this.
Yeah. It's a
Nothing else
tool our
matters.
brain has used for survival.
I had a tournament where my putting, I had gotten the yips. And with my, so I was push putting so that I could make these putts. Well, I get into this tournament as the Indiana State Championships. I don't remember when it was. But to this point, I had never missed a putt to win a tournament. Like I was 100%. Like if I had a tournament to win, I
It was
made it.
crunch time. Yeah. And you'd buckle
Yep.
down. Mm-hmm.
And so I had this unwavering confidence. Like, not only did I think I was clutch, I knew it because I had made all these putts to win, right? And so I get into this tournament and I have the yips. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be tough. I was putting a new style, so I didn't have the yips per se. For my normal stroke that I was used to, the winning stroke, I had the yips.
The winning.
So, yeah. And so I was push putting, and I end up coming back, and I tie for first place, go to a playoff with this guy named Al. Where we go to the first hole of the playoff, and I throw it to 25 feet, and he throws it to like 35 feet, and he misses it. And so now it's time for me to win the tournament, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm the winning. I've never lost, like, of course. But I switched back to yippity putt because I was too afraid to do the new putt in that situation, which got me to that situation. And there's like a hill there, and so I putt it. I miss it by 2 feet to the right of the basket, down a freaking hill.
No.
I end up switching back to the other putt. I make it to push the playoffs to the next hole, and then I lost. And I lost on that hole. So I finally lost a tournament where I had a putt to win. And so this devastated me because, to that point, like I could always rely on, like, no, I'm a winner. When it's my time, I make the putt and I win.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I had a situation where I had the putt to win and I ended up losing. And I have the yips. So it was like a double whammy of like, who am I now? Like, am I not a winner anymore? Like, I just, it was a total mind crusher. Well, it took a while, but I finally got into a situation where I had a putt to win again. And guess what flashes back into my mind? The Indiana State Championships.
Not that one, brain.
Yeah, right. But that's the way the brain works. And so I like
the other ones that were good.
but this is the point where, like I said, the mental was strong because I did flush that thought away, and I said that was different. Like, I'm a winner, I make putts, and that's what I do. And I putted the worst putt that I've ever putted in my life. I swear, it came out all wobbly. I barely released it, but that bad boy went in, and I won the tournament.
Oh my gosh!
And it wasn't a great putt, but it was like a thing where I won the tournament, and I was able to build off of that until, now I'm in the same way. I missed another putt to win recently, like 2 years ago. I ended up winning still because we pushed forward in the playoff and I won.
Mm-hmm.
But always believe in yourself, I guess, is the main thing. And sometimes bad things happen. It just happens. But you can't win if you don't think you can.
I feel like I used to be, and even the way I'm talking about it, you can tell that I have a story in my mind that I'm now cueing you into. I was an amazing putter, and I would think that in my brain, like I would have like a really weird lie in a tree, and they're all parked for birdie, and it was like, it doesn't matter because good thing, guess what? I'm an amazing putter, and I like canned the putt, I have these memories of me doing this early on in disc golf. And then when I was pregnant, like and played LVC so well, I was an amazing putter. Like I have all of these memories of like me just being so confident and so sure that it was going in. And then after I had my baby, my body just was completely different. And like, I was talking to Paige Shula a little bit about this. because she's kind of struggling with the same thing. It's like, no, your body is a different body than it was before you were pregnant. And it's just going to be different. And my putt just totally fell apart. I, started doing this weird push putt thing and it was different and nothing felt right. And then that kind of like over the last year and a half, I had started telling myself the story that like I'm a bad putter. And like I
Yeah.
don't know where that came from. Like I said, it's only been in the last few months when I've been kind of coming around to like consciously like, why are you telling yourself this story that you're a bad putter? Like you are an amazing putter. Like you just have to figure it out again. And now that I feel like I have that better like brain body connection with my mechanics and everything, it's now correcting the story side of it, where it's like,
Yeah.
now I feel like I have that physical trust back, but now I have to reverse the story that I'm telling myself of like, yeah, if you believe that you're gonna miss it, like, honey, you're gonna miss it.
Yeah. No, no, self thought and the way that you picture yourself is so important as an athlete. And that goes back to the confidence thing of that's something I don't give up. Like that's something that I don't give up to myself. And I joke about it to make people feel comfortable, but that's not really how I feel. You know what I mean? Like the comfort thing is a real thing when you're with your friends and they're insecure about what something they're doing. And then I try to bring myself to that level and I'll make a joke. Like when I'm on Jomez, I'll make jokes about my own putting and my own game and throwing it out of bounds and all this stuff. But that's not really how I think. You know what I mean? It's a dangerous line you have to kind of cross because if I'm walking around, imagine how annoying I am where if I'm on coverage and I'm like, well, yeah, I birdied that hole. I birdied it from there with a great putt.
Like,
Like,
hey, dude, God,
oh yeah,
you're good.
self-deprecation is hilarious,
Yes.
and it can be
Yes.
it can be a very good comedic tool to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's not really how I feel.
Or to ease tension, like I feel like
Yes.
if anybody ever says anything like negative about me, it's like it's almost that thing of like if people are laughing at you, laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's like it just makes it easier. Like you don't even have to worry about like accepting if what they said is true or not because it's like I can laugh at myself. Like you're right, I probably did look stupid when I did that.
Exactly. And so putting, for example, like I've gone through some crazy putting techniques, but guess what? I always thought I was a good putter deep down inside, no matter what anybody said about me. And I know that like there were certain times where I didn't putt great, but there's not a person on this planet who doesn't go through that. Not last year, but the year before, where I wasn't believing that I was a great putter. I thought that I was bad. And it was all mental. I switched form again, which I've done often in my career, and I finally found something that really stuck. What I did with the building of the new putt was the belief that I was good. I was creating a whole new character of putt with the mental along with it, which I encourage people to do while you're putting is believe that it's the right move, believe that it's a good putt, and believe that you're a good putter because guess what? Like in the NBA, if LeBron James compared himself to Steph Curry, he's trash. But one thing that goes with that gift is I guarantee he has a belief in himself
Yeah.
that is unwaverly, and that's something you can learn. Maybe not the body move that he's doing, but you can take that mental mindset, put it in whatever you're doing. I don't care what people think about me as a putter, but if I have a putt to win the tournament, I believe that everybody on my card believes that I'm making the putt.
Oh, interesting.
And I believe that. I think that if I'm playing with Paul McBeth, Eagle McMahon, all these
Yeah.
people, and I have a 25 footer for the win,
Yeah.
these dudes know me. They know Paul Ulibarri, and they know they're done.
They know you're clutch. Yeah.
They do, and
Oh.
I know that.
Mm.
And so that's a story that I tell myself. And like I said, I don't know what they're going to think. There's no way to know, but
Yeah.
I believe that.
You have a core of like intrinsic confidence and belief in yourself. But in your mind, like you're also harnessing this like extrinsic confidence in yourself.
Yeah,
Like, not only do I think I can do it, all these schmoes on my card who I'm about to win know that I'm going to win.
yeah.
Like,
They know it's over. They know not to
that's
they better get me before that, because if I have a putt to win, guess what? I've missed two
but I'm
ever. And
making yeah.
I've had a lot, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I am clutch. That is one thing that I am in
Yeah.
disc golf. And it's a story that I tell myself, but it's also the truth. It's backed by facts. It's backed by hard work
And experiences. Like you can
and experiences.
and
Yeah.
did that. Yeah. If listeners remember nothing else about what we talked about, what's the one thing that you want to impart?
Yeah. If you don't remember anything about what we talked about today, like out there listening, the one thing that I always tell people that I really want them to take away from any sort of mental game is it is a learned skill. It's a learned skill. You weren't born a different way. We both came in the world the same way, and it's a learned skill. It's not something that comes quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you have to work at. Just like a putting stroke, you have to work at being good mentally. Your self-talk is so important. It has to be positive, and it's such a tough thing to do sometimes when your body isn't doing what it's supposed to do. Your self-talk can get really bad, but it's a skill. Start now. Be positive. Believe in yourself. Bring that picture up to the front of your mind, whatever that negative crap is, and burn that shit.
Paul, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, me too, man. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing, and keep doing it and have a good time. I'll hopefully see you guys soon. Tell your hubby I said hi. Your husband's amazing, by the way.
Yeah, I know. He's
great.
If you want to connect with Paul, he's on Instagram at 1Uli, and he's also got a rad website on Team Discraft with all his merch and is one of the instructors for Power DGA. If you have your own insights on flow states, expectations, or self-talk, share them with your fellow listeners. Just email discgolfbasketcase@gmail.com or send me a message on Instagram at @ChoseHowells or at discgolfbasketcase. As always, if you like Basket Case, rate, review, and follow the show. It helps the podcast get discovered by others, climb the charts, get better sponsors, all the things. So a little review can go a long way. I am not a mental health professional or a sports psychologist. Opinions expressed by guests on the show are their own and don't necessarily represent my views. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, no guts, no glory, no brains, no chains. Goodbye.